Greetings, fellow admirals. I salute you and your prowess in battle. I am Admiral Andre, and welcome back to the third episode of Kerbal space program Sandbox. So I'm just messing around here again, and today I would like us to try and launch the Luna 1 with our R7 booster. And before I do that, I'll just add a little personal note. It is hot-alicious here in Cape Town right now. The sun has just gone down, but I am sweating here. And I've been rendering some videos and the computer gets quite hot, so it's like having a heater on. So I've got a fan on, but I'll cancel out the noise again. Just a bit of context there for you. The southern hemisphere is of course going into its summer right now. Anyway, let's have a look at what we can do. So I've got a few tabs open. Let's just go back and look at the internet for some reference images. Something like this. Okay, let's just take a step back. Okay, so Luna 1, I opened up a timeline of the space race basically, so they show all of the different launches and different times. Now again, I'm not trying to do an absolute realism, progression here. So we did Sputnik 1, we did Sputnik 2, and the Semyorka test rocket, I guess. Now I'm not going to bother with Explorer 1 and Vanguard and Project Score, whatever that was, a communication satellite. We'll launch those a bit later. And that won't be as per history. That'll just be messing around with my own designs. But I think let's go for Luna 1. Luna 1 was the first rocket engine to restart in Earth orbit, which we haven't had yet, but okay, in Kerbal Space Program it's a bit different because we can throttle our engines and turn them off and on. But we still haven't done this yet. So it has an upper stage, that's what it's getting at. It's also the first lunar spacecraft and first detection of solar wind, so it had some science instruments on it. So let's have a look at it. So Luna 1 just shows here. Forget about this little piece on the bottom. This is just to hold it up. So it's a sphere with basically four, or how many is this now? That's actually 5. That's interesting. So it's got these 4 antennas, then it's got the big one in the middle, and pardon me, and then there's another one here. So we can ignore that one. Let's just say 4 and 1 in the middle. That'll look nice. And basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, its goal was to be an impactor, to smash into the moon, because that was easiest. They didn't know about lunar orbit yet. That was a bit too difficult. So it didn't, however, meet that goal. As you can see, it was incorrectly timed and so on, and it flew past the moon and it entered into the sun's orbit. So I'm not sure. I'm sort of 50-50, or should I reproduce this, or should I actually hit the target? Maybe we'll just hit the target. Then what else? It had some transmitters and so on. It had a magnetometer, a Geiger counter, a scintillation counter, and a micrometeorite detector. Now we don't have all those things, but it means we can slap some of our science equipment on there. I think that will work. They don't show the rocket here, of course. This is just the actual probe. So let's have a look. Then I googled the Luna 1 rocket, because if we actually just go back to the, I'm just gonna Google here quickly, what am I looking for? The R7 rocket family. Well, spelling is off, but it'll know what I mean. So, if we have a look at the R7 rocket family, this is of course the test vehicle, the Sputnik launcher, and then Vostok. We're not getting into manned probes yet, or craft yet. That'll come later. But you see, they're all exactly the same. Even the Soyuz one that was launched from 1966, the first stage is exactly the same. The boosters are the same, everything. And so if we take that line there as the place where the payload, whoops, I didn't want to open that, but anyway, we can zoom a bit. That line is where the payload is attached. So you can see it goes a straight line through all the way. Of course, this is a bit longer because they have these I don't know, sort of detacher things there with the grids. But basically then they just kept adding bigger and bigger upper stages to it. So that's all that we're really gonna do. But if I look at the lunar rocket, it's actually not even listed here, but it is essentially the same first stage. And really all it's got is a very small upper stage, so much smaller than Vostok. And then of course the nose cone fairing thing there, and then the satellite in the middle. So here we can see a very nice drawing, and this is just a close-up, basically a diagram. So we've got this main engine, and then we have these little vernier thrusters on the edges again, so I would assume on all sides. Even if it's not, I don't mind. Then it looks like it's actually a toroidal tank here. You see it, how the way that it goes around basically. So that might be something to look into. Then we have the actual satellite, which is very, very small, and then just the covering. So I can't reproduce the size of this. Ours is going to be as wide as this section, unfortunately, but there we go. So I just looked up here. Astronautics always has good information as well. And then I just also looked up other sources for the lunar, and they just discussed it here. So basically that's all it is. It's a small upper stage, but let's actually now create the probe first. Now for that, it doesn't really matter what we use, but I think, well, let's just take this one. This is of course a 1.5 meter guidance unit. This is quite advanced, but I don't know, we can just have a look because it might not be correct for us. But the only spheres that I've got is this one, the Sputnik one again, which could work, but it's got this flat thing on the bottom, which we don't really want. But maybe, you know, it could be the best option. I don't know. So that's option one. The second option is this roundified monopropellant tank again, but it's way too small, and it's got a very odd shape because it's meant to be attached radially to something, and we can't actually attach anything to it. So if we just go to the antennas, I can't actually attach anything, but this is not going to work because it looks very weird to have this part here. And that really is the only sphere that we've got, just those two. We can have this soccer ball, but obviously that won't really work. So my idea was actually to go to the, let me just see, structure or the fairing aerodynamic, to actually just take two of these. Now I know this is not spherical, but this is going back to what I said before, that this is not even an attempt at an accurate recreation. It's just something that is an inspiration, you know? So I'm not sure. We could just take this Sputnik core again, but I'm not sure. I'm tempted now. I'm a bit divided here. Actually, let's take the Sputnik core. Let's play around with it. I know it's not the accurate thing. Okay, I can't take this away until I add something else. It's round. Let's put it that way. It's got this thing on the bottom now, but anyway, we can just pretend this is anyway an evolution of the Sputnik or Sputnik satellite, and it's a bit smaller than that big one, so I think it will be okay. The only issue is it's going to be quite difficult for us to hit the moon, which is maybe a good thing because it will reproduce reality, because we don't have any SAS with this thing, or gimbal for that matter, so that might be a problem. We'll have to have, or not gimbal, torque. That might be a problem. But okay, let's have a look. We will need a battery again, because even though we can put it in hibernation, the problem is, again, 10 is very, very little. And by the time we insert into an orbit or use the upper stage, it will definitely burn that away. Especially with all of my maneuvering back and forth, because I can't keep it stable. So, I'm just thinking here, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to use that. I'm going to use two of these. And I'm just going to put them inside. We'll just pretend this thing is obviously an adaptation of the original. So I don't mind clipping those in. They're just built into the design. We'll just put it like that. Because I do want it to look different from the normal Sputnik. I mean, otherwise what's the point? So now we can get into the different sort of antennas and things, and sparing that one that was a bit odd, we just have 4 in the corners. If I can play around with it, you know. There, this will also make it a bit different from Sputnik again, but that's not right, is it? I think that is the correct way. Yes, now it's right. So it looks like that. So, and then I think we can have this on the bottom, you know, that long antenna, but I don't want this one attaching to that point specifically. So I'll just guess where it is more or less. If we can maybe use the double trick again, I can just get them onto each other more or less. Geez, this is a bit hard. Okay, like that. Good enough, you know. So then it will extend, and that's basically our Luna 3. And I must say, if we just look at it from a bit of a distance, that does look a bit like it, you know. So obviously this antenna is longer than the others are supposed to be, so I think it will work. And now, let's see, the upper stage, and this is very light, 125. If we just go back to the actual Luna 1, does it say the weight of 361? I don't care about matching that again, that's not the goal, but it is a bit heavier than our one. Well, we live in a smaller universe here, the moon is much closer, so... Oh yes, but we're not done, we're not done. There we go, I was getting ahead of myself. We need some science. So I'm going to throw on a few things. Let's put the barometer on here. And now, to make this look nice is going to be an issue. Because I don't want it to destroy the shape, you know. Obviously, little bits can stick out like that. You just go back. You see, it did have some, you know, protrusions in different places, and there is like a flat area with equipment, so I think it's okay. Let's actually put it on this side exactly. Though I'm very afraid that this might appear that I'm trying to do an exact replica, and then obviously I will fail, so I'm not interested in an exact replica. Something like that, you know, maybe even, oh, see, this is where the obsession starts, and that's not good. Turn it flat. As long as the machines actually stick out there, it's okay. The equipment, because obviously it needs to be in contact with space, so that works for me. Let's add something else, the Gravmax Gravioli detector, and we can put it on the other side, also like flat basically. That one is quite big, so we'll just have it with the opening sticking out there, so it is catching particles or things. That's the idea, I guess. Then what else? Shall we have a thermometer somewhere? No, let's leave the thermometer. Let's put the seismometer on, because we are intending to smash this thing into the moon, right? So that means just one symmetry, please. I have no idea whether this should go, but let's put it on the bottom like that. It is a bit now unbalanced, but it's okay. The weights are very small. Just sticking out a little bit like that. That makes it a bit interesting again, you know, something different. Let me just move the antennas slightly up so that those blocks actually look like they're extending out of the sphere. There we go. I think that works. So there is our Luna 1. Now we need some way to get this onto an upper stage. So let's try again the small decoupler. I know the antenna is sticking out now, and we'll just pretend like it can retract fully into the probe core. So I think that will work. But now what do we do? You see, the thing sits very nicely into that actual upper stage. And I think this is a derivative of the block L. I'm not going to worry about the block L or whatever the case might be. Now see, this is not going to work because it's in the way of the antennas, and I don't think it's, if I just have a tank, you know, it won't exactly work right. And I can't attach those, so it has to be a tank. Something like that. Now we can just move this somewhat. Let's put a plate. That works. It gives us clearance for the antennas there. So we must obviously make some small adjustments for gameplay purposes. Now I like this, but now is it still... It's obviously going to be complete overkill to have this. So we might just drain one of the tanks there. A spark... 1.71 thrust to weight, and absolute madness overkill, but again I don't know if I can rely on these figures, but it is obviously way too much, but we can just drain some of the fuel. Then what about a small, like an ant? That's way too low. No. Even if I drain most of the upper fuel, it's only 0.21, and then it will be the same size as the vernier thrusters. That won't work. But there is no real other option. There is, but I don't really want to use it. Well, okay, there is this one, but it's angled, so I'll have to fix that. But maybe I'll use this one, the Twitch. I was thinking about the puff monopropellant. This is different from the previous version of KSP. It's much nicer now. It used to be tiny. And I could work it so that it's nice and straight in there, but then we'll have to work with monopropellant, and yet we'll also have to put fuel on for the vernier thrusters, and then the one might run out before the other, and that is just too much drama. So actually the Twitch will work. So again, it is something different. But now of course I can't work it in there, so let's just try it first. Very difficult, of course, since it is slightly angled. Okay, now do the double trick again. Just get the nozzle in the middle somewhere. Okay, perfect. Oh, you're not supposed to put two of them. Okay, I think that works. Let's just look at the direction of the thrust. That looks perfect to me. No, that's perfect. There we go. Go away. Thank you. Then this can go around that. Now we just mess around with this a bit so it looks a bit nicer. I know it looks now. Let's just change it to absolute offset. Something like that. You know, I know it is a bit of a small engine, but I don't want this block sticking out of the side there, so just until there. That will work, I think. And it is overkill in terms of thrust to weight again, but turn off gimbal please, thank you. So what is its thrust? It is less than the Spark, and I don't want to use the same engines that I use on the main stage. Now 4 of these again, and now comes a bit of fine operation again. No, a bit more. Something like that, you know. I like that. That works for me. Of course they must fire simultaneously. And that is our upper stage. What do you think? There is of course no capacity for moving it in terms of rotation and things like that, so we may have to mess around with a reaction wheel. I don't know. If I could get some monopropellant, but see, now it gets complicated. Now I'm looking for monopropellant again, and maybe that is not the thing. I want to save these because they look bigger for bigger upper stages, even though they're the same strength as the Spark engine. So the other option is always to just use the Werner engines, but I think these are way too big for our purposes. No, that won't work. No. What if... No, just 4. And what if... No. Go and turn it on its side. That will not work. No way. No, because now we can't really put it into that thing. I was thinking maybe I could just offset it into the tank a bit, so that just mainly the nozzle will stick out there, but nope. It's anyway not even in the right place. No, because it's angled on its own. Oh well. You see, I'm actually glad I'm starting this series, because this is exactly the sort of thing that I do in KSP anyway. I just mess around with different designs and try different things out, so I'm glad I'm doing this. No way. Okay, so we've got some choices. We can possibly maneuver just by using the outside engines and then have the central one shut down whenever we really need to turn around. But anyway, okay, no, I'm not going to mess with it. We can work with it like this. I'll just have to use the engines. That's fine. This is an early design, and obviously there were tons of disasters. Let's have a look. If I just go here somewhere, I saw it. Here, is it this one? Yes. Now see, this is the Vostok. This is the one they used for the lunar booster. No man, I don't want to open the picture. There. So look at this now. See, launch delayed, authorized failure, 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 failure. You see, it's a whole string of failures. So I don't want to, like, for example, now put another probe in there that has gimbal, or not gimbal, I keep saying gimbal, torque, or a reaction wheel or something. That's just a bit too cheaty for the beginning. I like this. This works for me. Although I must say I'm not liking the look of that. There is a way around it. Let's take the tank off. No. No, 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 no. Still, there is a way around it, I think. But now that sticks out the sides there. And it won't matter, because if I put the toroidal tank back on, it will anyway just make it disappear. You see, it just wipes out anything in there you can't see, so it's fine. It's okay. I'm not gonna bother about that. I like the look of this overall. So there we go. And too much, way too much fuel, so we just drop the top stage, and we have way too much thrust to weight ratio, so I'm gonna bring this one to 50%. I think 2.13 is still too much, but it's okay. We'll work with that. We'll survive. Then I think that'll be it. So now we just have to somehow attach this to... wait a minute, there is one thing that I didn't do properly. Well, how am I gonna do this now? Let's just go back. You see, what I'm thinking about is the fact that the fairing is actually on the top of the upper stage. You see, it doesn't cover the rest of it like these nozzles. That means this plate here must be removed. It will have to be like this, but I can't see how I'm gonna make it work. I'll just have to again take these antennas out. Must I? Okay, let's do it. It's okay, you know, for practicality. We go back to the other design, so we'll just say again it is a derivative of the Sputnik, but it's more towards the back. Like that. Something like that, I think. That'll be okay. So, now this. Maybe. Okay, it does go in there still, but it doesn't go over the edge. So, all I can do now is, say, bolt fairing, like up to there, and then... I can never get that line to be perfect. No, it's still too far down. Now anytime I put that, see, this line never matches the little bit at the top. Oh well, it's okay, that works. So then the upper stage, and let's just have a look. So it will separate, but I want it as a clamshell again, and there we go. So this is our upper stage. Now I have to retrieve our booster. So luckily this is where the benefit is of just having it already pre-built. So how to do this now? The thing is, they don't use like a closed system here. It's a what they call the hot stage technique, so it's open, and basically just lots of struts to attach it to the rest of the rocket. But now let me just find that. See, I'm still so lost with all the new buttons there. Something like that, and then attaching it to the rest. Maybe if we have another plate here, that could work. I think so. I know there's a gap there in real life, but that will be very difficult. I can move it, but then it will be hanging there, so I don't want that. Just move this up. You see there's a tiny little gap there between the upper stage or first stage and the plate. So the theory anyway, the idea is that this plate absorbs the heat from the upper stage when it separates. I don't know, but why would they? Well, okay, the reason why this is still necessary is because the upper stage finishes the orbital insertion and then reignites. That's why they said it's the first reignition of an engine, I think. Restart, yes, that means it does burn before it reaches orbit. So we should have some extra fuel capacity. Anyway, no, let's move back down. So I think that's okay. Maybe we should add a little bit more, just because now I'm starting to worry a bit. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, then I'll just have to remember to shut down the main stage before we achieve orbital insertion, even if we have extra fuel left. And I know the staging is now all completely bonkers, but I can fix that. Just have to figure out how to do this now. I like to put it on the outside, but now it mustn't really go into one of the engines. Let's just put it like this and see what happens. Let's just have a look here. Okay, that will never look perfect. That's odd. Why does it attach down here, but those are not like that? But I definitely want the struts to attach first to the bottom, because this is where, how can I say, the top part comes off, and I don't want the mass of even a piece of that coming with us. So okay, this is not working. Let's move it a bit further out, but I don't want it to look too terrible. That can work. Actually, I like it. I know it's looking a bit now with these white pieces sticking out, but if I put it further back, then the struts themselves will also sit deeper in, and I don't want that, because that's not how it really looks. So I'm happy with this. Let us save this now as the R7 Luna 1. Save, just to get it in a save first, then I'll change the staging and save again, and I'll still put it into the Dropbox just in case you also want to play around with this. So all of this must go first. Maybe it will actually be easier to just move all of the engines. I'm not moving them one at a time. So they all fire, then it separates. Where's the upper stage engine? So I want this firing at the same time that the decoupler separates. So I'm leaving it on full force, because it will probably blow up anyway, but okay, we'll see how it goes. And then finally it separates the fairing, then it will, what is this? You see, this is the booster separation. Pardon me. No, this is not right. It's all messed up. Okay, now this and then that. Okay, save again. Let's go to the moon. So if possible, I'll try to impact the moon. I mean, that was the original goal anyway. And, oh yes, oh dear. Okay, let's see if this works without SAS. Where is the moon now, by the way? Okay, so it's quite on the opposite side. If I just keep... No, we're too early. Okay, it's fine. We'll just insert into an orbit first. Oh, no! Come on now. Seriously? No, come on. That is the drawback of having so many engines. I just fired the upper stage verniers as well. There we go. That should sort it out. We are deviating to the west now, which I don't want. And we have a slight rotation. This is no doubt due to the struts on the interstage. Hence the many failures of the lunar booster. Okay, now I'm just going to leave it so that it sort of has the aerodynamic forces push it over. Though it is a bit too high. In the degrees anyway. So now it's closer to 90. That will work. Okay, let's hope for the best. That's all I'm going to do for now. That is not bad actually. Not in my view anyway. Of course now the others will burn out earlier because we have much more mass in the upper stage. So this is where having the extra capacity from before actually comes in. Or even, you know, they will burn out at the same time, but they will have less delta V because of the increased mass. But I'm liking our turn here. It's very, very spot on, I think. It's looking promising. I maybe want to add a strut at the top of the different boosters just for the appearance. I think it has that in real life. But again, I don't want to be too much about real life. Just so long as it's fun, but when it starts to not get fun anymore, that's where the limit lies. Okay, whoa. Decrease speed. Or at least decrease the increase in the velocity. Separating boosters beautifully, wonderfully, amazingly. I love this. This is the best I've ever managed to get it. And now we just burn the rest of the upper stage until we're in about 100 kilometer apoapsis, I guess. Oh well, already passed it, but I'm not happy with our speed yet, so let's boost it to 120. Okay, cut the engines and now we have our problem again with the drift. But I'll separate the fairings. Just give us a bit of a boost again, just to help. Okay, never mind. Separate the stage. Okay, but now just burn a little. Because we had way too much fuel in that first stage. I just want to get it so that it's back onto the mark more or less. Then we can approach apoapsis. something like that. Okay, let's go. This way we also release the first stage before orbit, and we reduce the amount of debris that we have in orbit. Okay, this is actually more difficult than I thought, because those little bits of mass do make a difference, so it is unbalanced. It keeps wanting to push downwards. That's alright. Good enough. Okay, we are in orbit. But we have almost... Okay, I don't know. Just saw this. We have almost no fuel, but I took a lot out, so that's why. Just looks like we don't have a lot. Now, this is very much what I was expecting. It's tumbling around here, so... getting it into the appropriate orientation for reignition is going to be a bit of a challenge. But I think let me just actually wait till it goes to prograde and then fast forward. But I'll just put it in hibernate in warp on auto, so that once we start warping towards the moon, it will save power. And all I'm looking for is an encounter that will take us to the surface, and then I'll detach. Moonrise. I don't even have to. I'm playing as if it's Korea and we haven't unlocked anything yet, but we have maneuver nodes, so why not? Just make it a bit easier for myself. There, that's all I want. There we go. So now we know it's in 1 minute and 40 seconds, 30-second burn. So we wait until we're 15 or let's say 20 seconds before, because I have to get us into the appropriate heading. Okay, just like that. Now, I was hoping if I spin us it will help stabilize the thing, but it's not so easy. Oops. Whoops. Oh, wow. Okay, there's the problem from having the antenna clipping to the decoupler. Well, we missed on that count. Well, so I guess it is more important to have fuel, because that thing is lying, man. The Redux thing is lying in the VAB. We didn't have enough fuel. I know we didn't have an optimal burn, but it wasn't that bad. So this thing is just gonna spin out of control here. We just pretend that never happened and we say this is now Luna 1. I know that's what the Soviets did, but anyway. So, what do we need to change? Well, there's a whole lot actually. Okay, let's, for the sake of it, but okay, we can't really get around this issue of the antennas clipping into the thing. Unless, but even if I do that, it's still gonna, unless that is allowed, like this thing doesn't have physics on its own. Let's see. Yes, I can't attach anything to that, and nothing is clipping actually through the decoupler. It was the plate here for the fairing, so we'll do that rather. Then, what else? Okay, now I'm thinking this is what I'm gonna do. I know this is not perhaps the best option, but I'll just put a little guidance unit in here. I mean, that is okay, isn't it? Surely the real Luna had some kind of a guidance system just to keep us stable. Just for a bit of help. Okay, let's try again. No, a bit higher, and then that works. So save. And is everything good now? That's not supposed to be there. More fuel. Let's fill it with half almost. That will also mean that the first stage burns more fuel Okay, let's see. This might be a bit of a longer episode again, but let's just try. Now we've got some assistance. So we learned from the first mistake and we implemented a bit of a guidance upgrade. Let's see if it helps. So far so good. It doesn't turn as much towards the west anymore. Okay, let's begin slightly moving it over. I think it's okay. It's close enough to the 90, but okay, let me try messing with it. Something like that. Let's see if that works. See if I put it on chase. Actually from the top. No. Locked. I'm just guessing now. I'm reducing the throttle a little bit so we don't get so much heating again. That does look cool though. Not bad. Just see what's happening. Okay, we are turning a bit too fast. Just slow it down a little, but then again it is okay, it is fine. Oh dear. That is spectacular. Okay, let's go back to the normal view. I think it's okay. It's not as steep as before, but that's really a good thing. So we do need the speed so that the upper stage doesn't have to do so much work. But I don't want to stay in the atmosphere too long. I think the addition of the guidance unit really helps. Too flat. Still, the speed is looking fantastic. Whoa, okay, that is not such a great idea because now that thing is still burning. Okay, obviously the hot stage works best if the other stage burns out first, so whoops, another boo-boo there, but anyway, we'll pretend that never happened. We do of course have rotational issues here now, because we're still in the atmosphere technically. There it goes. Who knows where it's gonna land? We disavow all knowledge of this rogue rocket. Just go a bit faster. Alright, so where is the moon? It's not rising yet, that's good. Just gonna lock it now. So you see it doesn't have enough torque on its own to really bring it back to prograde, so it's not that much of a advantage. So let's just see, where are we now? Is it possible to do the whole burn in one go? That would be very nice. We are almost at orbital speed anyway. It's a bit too early. There we go, that's a nice one. So 900, this thing says we have 2000, so we have no problems, I think. And I can't lock it to the target, so that is another advantage I don't have. Just move it a little so we can try to bring it towards the correct place. And now, so it's about 34 seconds. So, just see, more or less. Okay, hold on. No, whoa. It has way too much of a... But okay, maybe that's because it's keeping it to prograde. Alright, that's fine. Just lock it there. Well, actually, no. Let's try and... Yes, so at least this guidance computer thing is helping to keep the nozzles to the correct position to counteract any imbalances in the mass. And it might take a little while. We don't exactly... well, we do have a high thrust to weight, so it's not an issue. And that does look nice though. Okay, we're almost there. All over. Clear this. Now we have way too much fuel, but that's okay, and we will do the separation. Thank you and good luck. Whoa, nuts, absolute nuts. Is it still okay? It's still on target. Nope. Okay, scratch what I said about the decoupler. It was definitely to blame for our misfortunes. So now it's just to put it back into hibernate on auto so that we don't lose all the power before we get to the moon. Extend all of them. I didn't put it on an action group now. It's still a bit longer than the others, so that does look a bit like Luna 1, so there we go. And all the way, let's just see, is it in hibernation? Hibernating, yep. We're passing the other one now. And of course, I think the booster will also hit the moon, so it's fine, or the upper stage, so it has the probe core on its own now. But it will disappear. A bit more. There we go. Whoa. Yes, so at least we get rid of the trash in that sense. Now, what do we have here? Let's have a look. Toggle display, too far from object. Toggle display in a vacuum, indeed. And toggle display, so 0 Gs, of course. And I think, was it Luna 3 rather that did like the gas experiment on the way to the moon? But anyway, so there is Kerbal. Very lovely sight there. We will of course have some basic cameras on this thing, I would imagine. At least we would. And we're just gonna follow it down and then end the episode. So I'll just say thank you for watching and hope to see you in the next episode. So long, because as soon as we hit rock bottom, it's the end. How fast are we going, by the way? 804. This doesn't take long. Where is Kerbal? So we have a full signal sending all this info back home. You want to see the gravioli. So at least this gives us data about the gravity of the moon. And there we go. It was a fun episode. I like this series, so see you next time.